Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. We've got some folks still entering our meeting together. So if you're here, welcome. I would invite you to just sort of make yourself at home. If you could also add your organization name to your Zoom name in your window, that would be helpful. You can do that by clicking on the top three little dots over as you hover over your own video window, and you can scroll down to rename, and you can just also add your organization name. That helps us as we sort into breakout groups later on in the session. We'll get started in just a minute. Again, welcome to all of you and looking forward to meeting together today. Again, welcome everyone to our CPE Count Play Explore Family Engagement COP number 3. Today's December 4th. We'll be meeting from 10 to 11:30. This is our final COP for the family engagement and extension of the initiative. So we are just starting off this session with gratitude for all of you and for this work that we've been able to engage in today. And we're really looking forward to spending some time in reflection and in sharing, continuing our learning together, and thinking ahead about the future as well, as we know that we are coming up on the end of the year. I don't know how that happened so quickly, but hopefully you have all had some time to celebrate in the last week or so, and we'll have some time to take off and spend with family and friends coming up near the end of the year as well. So today, again, just our purpose of gathering is to reflect together, to celebrate the accomplishment, the successes, to also think about some ways that we can continue and sustain this important family engagement work into the new year and beyond. So just kind of, I'll do a brief overview of what we'll be focusing on today, and then we'll hop right in and get started. Today we'll do a little bit of reconnecting here in just a moment. Really excited that our colleagues from Bananas will be sharing a bit about their work this morning. They've agreed to spend some time with me in an interview, so really grateful to those folks and to their team for joining us today to share a little bit about their work, some of the insights, what they've been learning as well. Following that, we'll have an opportunity in our breakout groups to celebrate some of our family engagement successes. If you had a chance to look at the agenda ahead of time, you've been asked to select a photo from your family engagement work. And if you don't have one picked out yet, don't worry. You'll have a little time between now and 10:40 to try to find a photo, but we'd really love to have a photo from your work that celebrates something that you've accomplished or that you've seen or that you've learned through your family engagement work. It could be a photo of an event, it could be a photo of your team, it could be a photo of something in particular that represents family engagement to you and to your organization through your efforts. In our breakout groups, we'll discuss a few questions and have some conversation around what we've learned through family engagement and how CPE has shaped our family engagement efforts. Then we'll have a chance to share those photos and add them to a Padlet that we've created that can be sort of a collage, a celebrative collage of our work together. And we'll encourage you to think of a caption to add to your photo that starts with family engagement looks like, and then you fill in the blank based on what you've seen and what you've learned and the insights you've gained from this work. We'll close our session today with some updates from FCSS and from WestEd to close out our session, and we'll conclude. So with that, we're going to kind of get started and just do a little bit of reconnecting. Would like to just offer an invitation to reflect and think a little bit about your work and with the lens of gratitude today. So in the chat, would love to have everyone post something that you're grateful for that's related to this work or your work. Are you grateful for your team? Are you grateful for volunteers that joined you? Are you grateful for participants in this work? Are you grateful for your community that has supported this work? So just take a moment, give everyone a minute or two to do some reflecting. And then in the chat, would love to just have we're grateful for, or I'm grateful for, or just a phrase or two that highlights something that you have some gratitude toward, that has maybe supported you or that has buoyed you up in this work, or something that you've just seen happen that brings some gratitude to you and to your team related to this family engagement work. So I'll give just a minute or two for some reflection, and then go ahead and post your note of gratitude into the chat. Thank you for posting so many wonderful notes of gratitude. I encourage you all to read through some of these as they're being posted. Lots to have gratitude for. I think it's important to recognize that this work that we do is human-centered work. This is work that is about people. This is work that's about relationships. It's work about trust and listening, understanding our community. Um, I'm seeing notes in here about compassion. This is work about compassion and empathy. Um, this is work that's about learning. And there's so much gratitude for teams and teamwork and other people who are alongside us. We understand in this important work, we're not doing it alone, but that we are in partnership, that we are in community here. Um, it's 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 not just a coincidence that this has been called a community of practice, because in that community that we are in together, there's support, there's encouragement, um, gratitude for participation. Yeah, thank you so much for all of these statements and notes of gratitude. I'd like to just encourage us all to to continue with a posture and a stance of recognizing all of the many, many supports that we have to be grateful for and that have supported us through this work. And I think it also brings up some important points about the some of the factors that make this kind of work successful. We look at impact. We can look at some very quantitative kinds of data pieces like results and scores. We can look at participation rates, which are all really valuable. And at the same time, we can look at all of these affective or these elements of the work that are sometimes are a little bit harder to see, but are just as important. The things that keep us going in this work, the things that bring us energy and enthusiasm, and and all of the things that you've mentioned in these gratitude statements are important work, an important part of the work, because they're the things that keep us going when times get tough or we're tired or when we've done one too many evening sessions and are getting home late. This is the kind of thing that keeps us going. We recognize that we're not doing this work alone, but that we're in community. We're in solidarity with others who share our vision and share our passion for this work. So a big word of gratitude to all of you for this work and for the ways that you are so committed to the families and communities and educators that you work with. So we're going to move on this morning to really sort of focus in on one community, and I'm so grateful to our colleagues from Bananas who are going to be sharing a little bit with us this morning. So I just want to pause and allow the team from Bananas to introduce themselves, and then we'll begin with some conversation. So our Bananas bunch, do you want to introduce yourselves today?
Hello, I am Nye. I'm the professional development manager here at Bananas, and I will be interviewing with Hung Chin, and she can introduce herself next.
Hi, hello, this is Hong Chen. I'm the provider services coordinator from Bananas. I'm in Nice team. Yes, and I think our colleague Gabriella is also here today. Hi, Gabriella.
Gabriella is here for support. She won't be interviewing, but she can introduce herself. She's our health and safety coordinator, and she supports a lot of our events.
Thank you, Hans. And I'm very happy to stay today in the meeting. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us and for being willing to share a bit more in detail about your work and what you've been learning through that work. We're excited to learn with you and alongside you and from you as you share this morning. So just kind of kicking it off, I'd like to just start with just asking you to share a little bit about your family engagement work. Any highlights you'd like to share and sort of anything you'd like to kind of give us as an opener to your family engagement work and what inspires that work.
Absolutely. So Bananas has been using the CPE information for a variety of things. It has been fueling what we do for our play groups. We have weekly play groups at our Havens Court Clubhouse where we have children who come in and actively participate in different activities in person, and they also do it virtually. But we have done 2 CPE math events. We've done 1. Our next one is December 7th. So we're super excited about that one. We put together a small PowerPoint just so you can kind of see what we've done in real time. If you would give Hung ability to share, hopefully we can highlight that. Absolutely. So this is the Bananas CPE Melanated Math Moments. We chose to focus on our communities of color as we're trying to advance math, science, and STEM with our providers and our families and our children of color. We're trying to get families of color to recognize that they too have a part in our mathematical and scientific communities and that they have impact. Next slide, please, Hung. So our introduction is our 6 math stations. We're going to show you how we encourage natural correlations and supported curiosity and inspired wonder. So our Math Melanated Moments project is an umbrella initiative. It is part of the Greater Oakland Metropolitan Area Support for Families and Educators of Color. We're trying to counteract the effect of underinvestment in anti-inclusion policies. And we used our Melanated Math Moments project to inspire joy-filled mathematical experiences. So we brought all the families of color together, we brought the providers of color together, and really just tried to focus on math, science, technology, and engineering with students. And we wanted to care for children in a way that promoted mathematical and scientific thinking, mathematical language building, and helping providers and parents confidently promote higher order thinking with their children for focused interactions to come. So math joy is one of our #1 things. We want children to experience joy in all things. For our desired outcomes, the #1 thing we wanted them to do was have joy, to have positive engagement, to create future leaders, to target generating interest in math and science, and to build provider confidence. One of our biggest challenges is promoting mathematical thinking, scientific thinking, using mathematical language, and confidence with instruction. So we really wanted to focus on how to get providers, children, and parents in a fun way to really incorporate the connection of being their children's catalyst to these things. So our station 1 was lights and shadows. The children were able to come into a completely dark room. They were able to use their flashlights. We had strobes that were creating different patterns on the ceiling in the dark. So one had sounds and different light movements, and the other was a steady stream of another kind of light that radiated. And then the children had their own flashlights. We allowed them to come into the room and grab a flashlight out of the basket and create their own patterns along with the patterns that were existing. And the children were also able to outline chalk sketches of themselves while this was happening so that they could see the shadow patterns of their own bodies on the walls. Our next station was natural patterns. So the children were able to come into a room and have a story read to them about patterns that occur in nature, and they were supported to make pattern estimations and bring it to life in art form. So we put baskets of all kinds of materials on the table, and they were able to create the patterns that they had seen in the stories for themselves. Our station 3 was Estimators R Us. We had Jungle James come in, and he and his daughter actually did an incredible presentation with all the animals that they have that are patterned naturally. They brought in snakes and iguanas and beetles and all kinds of animals with natural patterns. The children were able to come in and have exposure to the reptile kingdom. We put a basket of magnifying glasses on the table that were child size. We also put some little sketch pads that had these little chalk sketching experiences so that children could recreate the patterns. They could also get up close and see the animal patterns with the magnifying glasses, and they were able to estimate like the length and the weight and the height and all of that of the animals. So they were able to bring all their mathematic principles into life with this station. Station 4 was units of measurement. We brought out a basket full of measuring tapes and butcher paper, and so we measured out each child with the measuring tapes that they had. They were able to measure their friends, they were able to measure their parents, and make estimations about how tall they thought they were and how tall they thought their relatives were. And then we taped the piece of butcher paper on the wall and let them make their bodies and make whatever they wanted on their art. Station 5 was Tiny Inventors. It was a bookmaking station. So we had the privilege of having a bookmaker come in with the children, and she brought a wealth of materials in different patterns and in different textures and different shapes, and the children were able to create their own pop-up books. So her passion is science and math. They talked about patterning and sequencing, and they talked about all of the different mathematical principles and used literature to bring it to life. So every child was able to take home a book that they created with different pop-ups and different color patterns and different sections from Liberia. And then we had a loose parts tinkering station where children were able to come in and estimate weight for wine corks and feathers and rocks and make predictions and do art. So they were able to take these little cardboard papers and tape all of their inventions together after they made their estimations and take all of their artwork home. And that was the totality of our estimation project. We did pass out all of the materials that the children used. So every station that they went to, if they used magnifying glasses, if they used measuring tapes, if they used flashlights, everything that they used at each station, they got to take home. And Hung King goes to the next slide. They also were able to get a package from us that had backpacks. The backpacks had educational materials and art materials inside. We gave each child 3 math books, and the children also got a math toy that allowed them to make shapes and patterns, and we gave them a geo set, so they were able to do different geo cards and different activities. So that's the totality of what they received. They got a science pack also, where they got to go home and make a science activity. But Hung's going to go back one slide and show you a quick video of the stations. It actually has sound. I don't know why the sound isn't playing, but that is the lights and shadows room. That's the wonderful team. It's Jungle James experience with the littles. We also had a taco truck, so they had plenty of great food, and it was just quite the experience. So thank you for allowing us to share with you. And does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, if you do have any, thank you, Nye and team, for that. It was so wonderful. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask that out, that would be great as well. I kind of had a follow-up question, Nye. It seems like with the resources you provided, could you just maybe speak a little bit more about kind of how you selected those? It seemed like it was very intentional that you had some things that were tools that they could use to keep creating those kinds of experiences, like the flashlight, and then others were books, and then there were other creative tools like the geometry tools that they could use to create things. Sort of how do you what went into some of the decision making about the resources that you wanted to provide?
So we basically just wanted children to be able to recreate the experiences that they had in our event and not just have it be a one and done. Learning is eternal, and we wanted kids to be able to go home and use the materials in any way that they wanted to, but to also find other things in their homes that they could measure and find other things in their homes that they could weigh and have flashlight adventures under their beds and just have practical life connections. Our focus at Bananas is incorporating everyday math. So a lot of our workshops are really just promoting the inspiration of using math every day. So to have them do the activities with us is one thing, but to have them be able to go home and to create and generate activities themselves, to have the providers have the ability to have the kids bring the materials to school to do it if they need to, whatever the the objective is for the families and the providers, talking to parents one-on-one about the importance of math and about how they can use the tools again and again. So we gave out math books specifically because when they read the math stories, they understand that there's different opportunities that they can do. We also had a lot of the AIMS activities on QR code form so that the parents could go home and do it themselves. So they had a lot of opportunities to be able to recreate these moments without having to think about how to do them. And then just to promote natural curiosity wherever they are. If you're on a walk with your children, they can take that measuring tape and measure the tree while they're on their walk, or measure the slide when they get to the playground. It doesn't have to be something that's so structural. So we're trying to promote that variety of thought process with providers and with parents and with grandparents. It does not always have to be something planned. Kids really come up with a lot of interesting ideas on their own. It's really just promoting natural curiosity and allowing them to be who they are.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it seems like there's a real emphasis on kind of, as you said, it's not just an experience that you can have here at the center or in this place, but that the resources that you provided sort of communicate the fact that like you said, learning is eternal. It can happen anywhere, and it can happen in many, many different environments with many tools and resources, some that are found. I mean, like your patterns with natural materials, these are things you just find in nature, and other things like flashlights or other tools could be sort of used to enhance different experiences. Seems like a wide variety of resources, as I think we've learned in this project, are really important. Another question I think that came up for me as you were sharing is too, one of your goals was for provider confidence, and kind of thinking about that, when you're on a walk with family members and family members feeling confident to ask a certain kind of question or be curious alongside children. How have you found that confidence that providers, maybe some providers lack some confidence, but how have you found ways to sort of strengthen or increase that confidence in providers?
I think that we've just been promoting the fact that they're already doing the work. When you give them credit for what they're already doing, they naturally feel more confident. Anytime someone thinks that they're doing something well, they want to do it more often. So we already point out the things that they're already doing. You're already cooking with your children. You're already going to cut that apple. Instead of just cutting the apple, talking about the fact that you're cutting it into equal sides, or you're not cutting it into equal sides. You're talking about the number of seeds that you see when you cut. You're already doing things every single day. Even when you're doing laundry, you're adding a scoop of, cleaner to the washing machine. How much is the scoop? Are you making an estimation or a prediction? Parents are already doing math and science with their children every single day. You're making dinner, you're cooking beans, you're getting a handful. We're just encouraging them to find the moments that they're already doing and apply mathematical language and concepts to it. You're already doing the work. If you're going on a walk with your children, have them collect 3-4 leaves, talk about the patterns in the leaves and how they vary. There's so many things that they're already confident and comfortable doing. You're going to the grocery store, you're talking about math, you're talking about how much something costs, bringing it home and using, the change in your purse or play money to make that correlation sync for your kids. Parents do the important things every day. Providers do the important things every day. It's just incorporating children as helpers and helping them to understand what they do is concrete and it's math.
Yeah, it's quite a different approach than sort of saying you need to learn a lot of new things in order to gain confidence. It's sort of your approach is really highlighting all of the things that they're already doing. It seems like a very much an asset-based model where we're looking at the things that are already there, that are strengths that may just need some calling out, or perhaps, or some naming, some recognizing, and sort of allowing to bloom a little bit more.
Absolutely. Parents are always saying, oh, I do that. Like, what else could I do? Because once you realize that you're already incorporating these principles, then you're willing to take that next step versus being stuck in that fear element of, I don't know where to start. So a lot of this stuff is failure to start. And you point out that they've already started. How do you take it to the next level?
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to add them in the chat. Nai, I'm curious about how you plan to sustain this work going forward.
That's interesting. So we've kind of incorporated it. That's why I showed in slide 2. We've incorporated it into other projects instead of it just being one project. The beautiful thing about Bananas is that I supervise 17 different contracts. So I'm able to infuse what I do into every contract that I supervise, which is why we're able to have a taco truck, which is why we were able to give the backpacks. When you start combining your resources and saying, oh, I can pull this from First Five, or I can pull this from ACOE, or I can pull this from my Head Start contractor, whatever is going on, you're pairing stuff that you're already doing for other funders so that you can continue the work in a meaningful way. We've incorporated some of the math elements into our Black Joy project. We've incorporated some of the projects into our Family Friend and Neighbor program. We've incorporated some of it into our play groups. So it's wherever you can make mathematical impacts and wherever you can encourage this type of pairing, because we have a lot of things that we're doing for a lot of different funders, and we can do it together in a more meaningful way if we just are very intentional about it.
Yeah, it sounds like like you said, a very intentional way of infusing this work across a variety of different things. And I think that resonates with some of what we've communicated through CPE and through and particularly through the family engagement efforts, is that a lot of these efforts and resources and projects don't have to be something new on top of an already full initiative or full agenda. There are ways to sort of infuse this into existing work or to current work, to use these principles and strategies across a variety, as you're talking about, across a variety of your programs. Seems like a way to ensure that the work lives on and the values live on, the efforts and the guiding principles and the goals are infused there. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we don't want to just have like great initiatives for the length of whatever the current moment is. We want things to continue on. Like you don't want to just keep starting activities and stopping them as soon as the funding is over. Like, how do you carry on the thought process? And even when we're no longer able to financially do these type of events, you can still incorporate them into your workshops. I also supervise our Bananas education. So it's, how do you pick, workshops that focus on these things? How do you incorporate some of these principles into the workshops that will be provided for providers? So there's lots of ways to be able to move the needle with this. It's just wanting to continue the work.
Yeah, wonderful. Stephanie has a comment that a lot of the families that visited the math booth had the same reaction when they talked about how much they were already doing that would help their school-age children outside of homework time and how impactful these activities are. Yeah, resonating with that idea that there's a lot happening already. We need to be intentional about calling those things out and emphasizing that so that it doesn't feel like another extra thing. Let's talk about the taco truck. How important is food in gatherings like these?
How important is food in our event?
Yes, the taco truck is amazing. And I eat 9 tacos.
9 tacos.
It's awesome. Like, first of all, families are doing us a favor by showing up. It's incredibly hard for a lot of them to get there. So they're taking buses, they're taking public transportation, they're, riding with friends. A lot of them don't have cars. So when you have gotten up at the crack of dawn to come here, the last thing on your mind is trying to figure out how to feed your children or your grandchildren if you brought them. So having food is like really, really important to the interaction, because they're not worried about how long they can stay before the kids start acting up. There were tacos, there were quesadillas, there's beans and rice. Like you can go, they had little wristbands. So we knew which group. We had an AM group and a PM group for this event. So your wristband gets you infinite access to the food and the water and the juice and whatever it is that you want, so that you could go have a snack and come back in and have more experience if that's what you want to do. So being able to give parents the agency to be able to do what they need to do with their children is super important.
Yeah, I like the way you framed that as they're doing us a favor. You know, it really is, I think it is a very kind of, it's a very important acknowledgement that this is time out of a day, and it's time that many families might spend preparing a meal or eating together. And so to provide a space where they can do that, I think affirms the fact that that this is all that, like, this nourishment and food and people coming around food is a very important aspect of the work, and it's important for learning. It's important for community. It's important for just understanding that you're welcome here, and it's a place where your needs are understood and addressed in some ways. So I think we found the same thing with taco trucks and other kinds of food. There's so much appreciation when those other needs are understood and are addressed. And I'm sure there are other kinds of needs like that in family engagement efforts that we can all be aware of, and continue to learn about those specific needs that families have, and ways that we can address those, whether it's, you know, childcare for the very littlest ones, or opportunities for you know, the kinds of materials to take home, transportation, all of those kinds of things. I think we can continue to learn together about ways to address those. It sounds like you've done some great work in acknowledging those. Anything else, Nai, that you'd like to share about your work or highlight as we sort of conclude today with the interview?
I just hope to be able to continue to do this work for a long time to come. Like, it's really impactful for families. It's really amazing to see children have the light turn on in their minds. We had a little girl that came up to our Jungle James adventure table, and you can just tell, like, she wants to be a scientist. Like, she immediately was like, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. And the fact that he brought his daughter, and his daughter is a little jungle expert. Like, she totally does everything that he does. So having children watch other children have such powerful examples of, like, being competent and being capable allows them to know that it's something that they don't have to grow up to do. Like, they can be powerful and confident and, you know, determined at a very young age. So watching children who were afraid to touch animals engage with animals, and we're having a petting zoo for our next one, so the kids will be able to weigh themselves and, you know, estimate how much they think, like, the pig weighs or the llama weighs. So we'll be weighing animals, we'll be weighing children. We're trying to provide different experiences at each of the math nights that we're having, but just being able to inspire kids to, you know, get their passion, to get their careers, to figure out what they want to do or be, or just see something different that they haven't seen is just super important. It really, we saw a child go from never wanting to see a bug to asking, can they hold a cockroach? Like, those light bulb moments only happen when you provide the opportunity for them to happen. So natural curiosity is super important. Knowing that learning is not confined to the walls of a classroom is super important. And just being able to be an ambassador for math and for change is something that we appreciate CPE for giving us the opportunity to do. So thank you guys. And that's it for us.
Well, thank you, Nai, and team from Bananas, so much for sharing today, for the preparation it took to pull together those slides and share the wonderful stories and your learnings. I think it's been inspiring to all of us to hear about that. And I think in particular, your last comments about how, you know, giving us that opportunity with you to kind of zoom in on one person, one individual child, and how this work is able to change their perspectives about what's possible in the future, and give them the confidence to reach their full potential is really beautiful and wonderful. I think it's what this work is really all about. So thank you for sharing today, Nye and team, and for your important work. It was great to learn from you, and for all of us. I think there's much for us to think about and reflect on as we continue to sustain this work going forward. So with that, we're going to sort of launch into our next section of the morning, and we're going to have an opportunity for all of us to share a little bit more about what we have been learning, a little bit more about kind of our ideas so far, what we've how we've used CPE. And so in breakout groups, in just a minute, you'll get assigned to a breakout group. In breakout groups, you'll have the opportunity to answer just a couple questions. First question will be, how did CPE shape or change your family engagement efforts? So just think a little bit about, you've all been doing family engagement for some time. So how did this initiative or the resources or some of those things that you were able to put into practice sort of shape that effort? So maybe just think a little bit about that and how you'd like to share around that. And then the second question to discuss is, what have you learned about family engagement that you will take into future efforts? Insights and learnings from your work together in your team, or from the work that you've done here with our extended group here in the CPE initiative. And then I would love to have each of you share a photo to our Padlet, our collaborative collage Padlet, and a caption that starts with family engagement looks like, or some variation of something about family engagement. That's just a starter you can use if you'd like. You don't have to use that starter, but would love to have everyone post their photo to our collaborative Padlet. I'm going to put that link in our chat here so that you can see that link. You can click on that and make sure that that Padlet is working for you. Just for those of you who haven't used Padlet in a while or who haven't ever used Padlet, I'll give you just a brief kind of reminder about how to use that. When you go to the Padlet and you click on that link that I posted in the chat, you'll see Padlet come up. It should come up in your web browser. Looks kind of like this here, CPE Family Engagement Celebrations. And you're able to add a photo to this Padlet by clicking on the plus down here at the bottom. And you can put, maybe in the subject, just put your, you can put something about your photo. And then you'll upload your photo by clicking on this upload button, and you can do that. You can also, if you're on a mobile device, you can take a picture real quick of something. And then here in the caption, you can write family engagement looks like, and you can complete that. Or any other caption about family engagement you'd like, and then publish that. But somewhere in here, we'd love to see sort of who this is from. So whether I put Ames up here, maybe you can put your organization, or you can maybe put your organization in the caption as well. We'd love to have a celebrative collage here of many of our moments and experiences from family engagement that we'd like to share. So in just a moment, we'll move into those breakout groups. We've kind of organized them here in the back end. Chris has helped us out with that. Thanks, Chris. And you'll just be sort of assigned to that breakout group. And then what we'll do from there is just get started with those two questions that we'll be reflecting on. I'll share those. I'll share that in the chat as well for you to discuss. So if you would just sort of get started with those conversation questions, and we'll have a facilitator in the room who kind of help guide us as we have those conversations. And we'll come back after a bit and wrap things up here together. So at this point, we'll go ahead and get into the breakout groups. And once they're there, get started with those sharing questions and posting your pictures to Padlet. And we'll see you back efforts. Also wonderful to hear about ways that you are already thinking about sustaining this work and continuing your efforts, things you have planned, things you will do the same, things that will grow, things that will shape and shift in the future. Excellent to see that, and we wish you all the best as you continue those efforts. With the remaining time here, I would like to just turn it over to a couple of our other partners for some announcements and some additional comments. So I think first will be Sophie from our West Ed partners. So Sophie, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Hi, everyone. It was so great to hear all your stories and your experiences from the past year in the breakout rooms. I'm just on here to share a quick reminder to please fill out your implementation logs for any events, activities, or family engagement experiences that you did this past year. So I will be sending another email reminder to everyone as well, but we're hoping to have everyone submit those by the end of this year, and would love to sort of keep track of all the things that you implemented this year. I'll pass it back to Paul.
Sure. Thank you, Sophie. Yes, and I'll pass it over to Matilda and Naomi for any final words from the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools Early Care Education Office.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. I think I've met many of you, but for those of you that I haven't met, as Paul shared, my name is Dr. Matilda Sorian. I'm Senior Director of the Office of the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. We're the lead on paper, the fiscal agent for the grant that provides for this opportunity. However, we do not do it alone. We do not do it alone. Ames is one of our awesome partners. West Ed, the Early Math Project, GLM Inc., and our sister or sibling department here at FCSS, which is our STEM department, also contributes to the work. In addition to all of you across the state contribute to the work. With the family and community engagement, you tested and piloted several different resources and let us know this works, this doesn't, please refine this, etc., which has been really helpful. But this truly has been such an amazing year. I had an opportunity or privilege to sit in on a breakout session, and everybody had such wonderful, I think we could have gone on for another couple of hours. It's been just a wonderful start to the day to hear all of the awesome things that are happening in regards to family and community engagement. So during this past year with this endeavor, you've participated in community of practices and webinars and coaching, and collaborated with other agencies within your communities, and also just with all of the agencies that are reflected on the screen. We've highlighted the importance of play, which is so crucial. I think one of the individuals within our breakout was sharing, some people, when you think of math, you don't automatically think of play, but we need to make sure to infuse the play, correct, right? And additionally, how math explorations can occur in every setting, not just in classrooms, but in home environments, in parks, in playgrounds, in community centers, at the store, in the library, etc., right? Those explorations can occur anywhere. So our goal is that our work together and the work that you're doing within your community, that it impacts math achievement, that it lays the foundation for our youngest learners so that they'll continue to grow in their math achievement. And in addition, we're helping our youngest learners, but we're also building the capacity of our early learning workforce, family members, parents, community members, etc., right? But most importantly, which is at the center of our work, are our kiddos, right? Our kiddos, our youngest learners across the state. I'll pass over to Naomi so that she can share a few more remarks.
Hi, everyone. I believe I have met you all and you'll be, I'm the person who always sends you all the wonderful emails, which will be stopping soon. But I will promise you I will be sending a few more this month as some reminders. I'm just going to send in some links. As you all know, we have a few websites. We have our countplayexplore.org, which is set up as our family site. As you all have been using some of these great resources with your families and communities, want to reiterate the site is free for all, so you can continue to use it and share it with your families. The site will continue to live on past December, so continue to use it. And then some of our other resources are currently on our EC Fresno site. So I also put that link in there. We are going through a little bit of a remodel. So I'll also send some updates in the new year when our updated site, Count Play Explore, is live. But countplayexplore.org will always be free. It will always be at that URL. So keep that in your back pocket. But just wanted to reiterate that you all have supported so many of our great resources, and we'll also continue to support the creation of these resources with your feedback from this family and community engagement extension. Your implementation plans that you have submitted, and something that I'll talk about shortly is your summary reports that will be due in January. Will also support our creation of these resources and editing our resources. And you'll be able to see those on countplayexplore.org. As we've talked about, we went through a little bit of a rebrand. So the initiative is called Count Play Explore now. It was formerly California Early Math Initiative. We went through this rebrand as we were transitioning to include science and computer science. So as we expand to that, our resources will start to encompass showing how to uplift early math and science explorations and everyday interactions, activities, and routines. So be on the lookout for that. As some of you may know, our next application for our Count Play Explore professional learning and coaching cohort is now live, and we invite all of your agencies to apply. Information can be found about this next cohort at the link that I just sent into the chat. There we go. That is our next cohort, like you all just participated the last 2.5 years here. We will be doing this again. This will pick up to 30 agencies for a cohort that will run from April 2025 to December 2027. Each selected agency will participate in that selection, or applications are due January 17th, 2025 at 5 p.m. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and check out the link that I put in the chat. One more thing I wanted to circle back on to wrap up our family and community engagement extension. We are asking each agency to complete a document outlining your efforts. I'm also putting that in the chat, and I will follow up in an email. I did want to walk through this document before we jumped off today. So this is how this document looks. I will ask each agency to submit one. So please work with your agency or other facilitators and make sure you're only copying and filling out one. I do ask for you to do this as a group because I know you collaborate in all your efforts. And so we really want to make sure that you're answering this for all the efforts that you did for your families and your community. You'll make a copy. So when you press make a copy, you'll fill this out. You can in this where it says copy a template, put your agency name, and then put it in a folder in your drive. And then you'll make a copy, and then it will exist in your drive. You can complete it. If you don't want to do it in your Google Drive, once you make a copy, you can just download the file, and then it's just on your desktop, and you can complete it that way. Do it either way that makes you comfortable. I really don't mind. I did it through Google Drive, so it's easier for you to make a copy, and its version control is very easy that way, in my opinion. Once you make a copy, like I said, either download it or do it through Google. I ask that everyone send me either the link for the shared version, so share and copy link, by January 17th. Either do it that way or send me the downloaded document by January 17th. Again, we'll send that an email so you remember. Make sure that you fill out every single question, and please write in complete sentences. I will say that there's a couple questions that aren't complete sentences, like agency name, and like this one that asks about like approximate numbers. That doesn't need to be in complete sentences, but please make sure all the other ones are complete sentences. One other one I did want to point out, this question here, there is like a little pull down for which of the following CPE resources did you implement? When you're filling out this portion, if you didn't use this resource, all you have to do is click on that little down arrow and press no. And if you did use it, you can keep it on yes, and then complete the 2 responses below. And then as you're completing this, if you have any questions, feel free to email me and we can either jump on a Zoom or a call, or I can respond to you through email. Again, please write in complete sentences and include details about your planning and implementation. We really just want to learn more about your work. And then if you have any feedback, any ways that we can improve our resources, we really look forward to hearing so we can make sure our resources are the best that they can be. Does anyone have any initial questions for me?
All right, and feel free, there's time after to answer questions, not after this meeting, because we're running up against the end of the meeting. We want to keep our commitment and end on time, but feel free to email Naomi if you have any questions about the report. Again, it's, we didn't cook it up thinking, how could we make the agency's lives miserable right before a holiday break? I know, believe me, I have a grant due December 20th. I'm like, seriously, 5 days before Christmas, but it is what it is. Anyway, it's really for us to learn about what we could do within the work and the resources, etc., how we can modify so that they work best within the different communities across the state. So we tried our best to whittle down the questions and just keep to those areas that we'd really love to learn from you. But again, we have 2 more minutes and I want to pass it back to Paul, but just thank you again for your partnership on behalf of Fresno County Superintendent of Schools and all of our partners. We really enjoyed working with all of you. And again, another special shout out to our core partners who, again, we cannot do it alone. It's collectively for this ginormous, if that's a word, initiative, this ginormous statewide initiative. So again, another shout out to my team of the ECE department of FCSS, Naomi and John and Carolyn, and also our sibling department, the STEM department and their team for their help, our partners at Ames, Paul and his team from Ames, Wested, Alexa, Sophie, and Oznat, Jennifer, the Early Math Project, GLM Inc., and all of you. Thank you so much. It's truly been a blast to learn from all of you and to work with all of you. So at a minute left, I'm going to pass it back over to Paul to close us out.
Thank you, Matilda, and thank you, Naomi, for that information. Thanks for your hard work and facilitating so much of this initiative work, and for encouraging everybody along the way. And thanks to all of you for joining us through this journey, the journey which is not over, which we're continuing on together in many different ways and forms. So thank you for participating today. Thank you for all of the hard work in your communities and in your neighborhoods. Together, we are accomplishing much and making an incredible impact So thank you for all of that work. Please do take some time to take care of yourself and your family and your community as we enter this next season. And we hope to see many of you again very soon. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Thank you.